So first of all, I would like to welcome, the new members of the group and our today's meeting because I see some new names and faces, which is a very good thing. Today I wanted to talk about some basic things and basic information that might be very helpful and significant for some of you, because I'm sure, most of you already know about this kind of informations, but for some of you who are new and who are looking for some informations, I was just thinking that maybe it is just good to give you some idea and information about those, uh, I mean, uh, topics and subjects that I'm going to talk about. So today we are talking about, some few points like how to find, sponsors in Canada, and how to build your connection in Canada, like how to build your network and how to build a very strong and friendly connection with your sponsors, a friendly atmosphere. And also, at the last, we would also talk about, the refugee friends who are able to speak English very good and fluently, and that they have the ability and the potential to help others. Okay, so first I would like to go with finding sponsors in Canada. So based on my experience and the people that I have spoken with, I mean most of refugees, when they text and they message the, Canadians to ask for sponsorship or to ask for help, they would, I mean, they would mostly, just text and say their name and how long they have stayed in a country and ask like, please sponsor me or can you sponsor me or something like that. I mean, we understand the dire situation and the urgency for help, but that kind of message, for somebody like me or David or anyone like that, we already know about your situation and what the refugees are going through in Indonesia. It is okay, it's understandable. But for some people, like for the rest of Canadians who don't know a lot about the refugees, who don't know anything about sponsorship program, it might scare them. Like, how can I sponsor you? Like, I don't know you. Who are you? And it's like they don't have any idea, and there are a lot of misconceptions. Just a message comes from somewhere randomly, please sponsor me. Yeah, it's not a very helpful way. So what I'm suggesting, if you're contacting and communicating with the some Canadians that you know or that you want to make friends in Canada, first of all, you have to, just build a friendly atmospheric conversation. Just talk about, things about topics like, friendly topics. You don't have to go just to please sponsor me or can you sponsor me? And after you, you built a friendly atmospheric conversation and a sense of trust between each of you, then you can open up and talk about yourself. You can talk about your life and what you're going through in Indonesia or in the limbo. So it can attract their attention, oh, like that. And then if they seem that they want to help, yeah, you can tell them about you can talk about there is an amazing sponsorship program in Canada, that a group of 5 can come together and can sponsor a refugee. And yeah, you can talk to them about it. And if they don't know about the administration work and how to do that and what it takes them to be a sponsor, you can direct them and you can put them in contact with your community and with us. That, and I'm sure that we would be able to help them, like in administration work and the paperwork. And the other thing that I wanted to say, like when you tax us, is, don't only just say your name, but there are a lot of details that are required. Like, for example, yeah, your full name, the country you're from, the country that you're, living currently, and the town, and yeah, the date of the entry to the second country, and also how many sponsors do you have, I mean, the amount of money and the amount of fund that you have raised. I mean, all those informations that I will later send on in the group. And we also would like to post it on our website later on down the road. Yeah, we will post it. Yeah, those kind of informations are required when you ask for sponsorship. So what I'm suggesting is what I myself did when the first time I wanted to look for sponsors. um I didn't depend on just on text message, but I wrote down, like, I mean, my story and my feeling and my experiences on a Word document, everything, like all my details, all my, like, I mean, my life story, my experiences, my feelings, I wrote down on a Word document, so I can send it to someone and they can read about me and they understand me, they know me, and they know my details. So only a message of please sponsor me, it doesn't take you anywhere. And yeah, another thing that I wanted to talk was about, if you find sponsors, like for example, if you get sponsors, you already have some people that are willing to help you. Um, so what are your conversation going to be like? I mean, what is going to be your friendship going to be like? And that's very important. So when you talk to your sponsors, I mean, you shouldn't only talk only about sponsorship all the time. Like, is there any news today, wherever, like, for example, when it married, or only talking about sponsors and only about the topics that is related to about coming to Canada. Don't do that. But be creative in your conversations. I mean, of course, you can talk when you need to talk about the process, but I mean, you don't have to talk about it like every day and all the time, because it might annoy them. So be creative in your conversations. You can talk about any different topics, like, for example, how was their day and what are their hobbies, what are, I mean, the outdoor activities in winter in Canada. Yeah, about like a lot. These are just simple and examples that you can talk about. I mean, different things. Just the goal and the main thing is that you should build a friendly communication and a strong connection with them, so you can talk about different things that you can you can get to know them better and they can get to know you. So when you arrive in Canada, they already know you and you already know them. And about, I mean, building your network in Canada, uh, as we all know, throughout the history, humans, I mean, they could not manage to survive alone. And they tend to live in bigger groups and communities because, I mean, due to the harsh nature and environment. So that is how the communities were created, the societies were created, because the humans, I mean, the men, they could not survive alone. So they felt more safe to live around the others and in bigger groups. So that is, I mean, the same principle applies when you go to the new country. Doesn't matter where you go, you will always need to integrate with the people. You will always need to communicate with the new community. So the thing is that I have noticed some of newcomers, when they go to a new country, they only communicate with their own community who shares the same language, the same culture. I mean, I'm not suggesting that is a wrong thing. It's not wrong. That's good. But yeah, it's not, I mean, very productive and helpful by itself, because you should have the ability and the flexibility to adapt and to adjust with different cultures, with different people and different backgrounds. So don't only just communicate with the people that speaks the same language as you, that shares the same, I mean, culture as you. That's not bad, but you should be able to get along with different cultures, with different people, because when you get to Canada, there are like a lot of people from different backgrounds and different countries. So you should have the ability and flexibility to get along with all of them. And yeah, believe me, I mean, you will learn a lot from it, and there might be a lot of opportunities that you can get from it. And yeah, so use your, I mean, any opportunity to get to know with the new people, whether it's online or I mean in person. So try to build your network. And yeah, the other thing that at last, I mean, I wanted to talk about was about, I mean, the refugees in Indonesia. I mean, most of you, I'm sure, I mean, like most of you and many of you, you have, I mean, a very great potential and ability, I mean, to help others. I mean, a lot of you, you can speak English very well. I mean, better than me. So, I mean, please, I mean, be, I mean, resilient and always willing to help others. Like, I mean, there are some refugees that don't know how to speak English, or they don't have any idea how to talk and how to connect with the Canadian community. So you might have some experience. I mean, you can tell them, you can share your experience, the ways and the methods that you have already tried. So, I mean, don't mock them when they ask for help, when they don't understand English, don't make fun of them. Just just help them. I mean, volunteer to help them unexpectedly. And yeah, encourage them to learn English. So the last thing that I wanted to say was, yeah, which is very important, and that is about, yeah, learning English. So learning English is very important when you go to another country, because I mean, the things that I have mentioned above, the things that I already explained, I mean, you can't do any of those things if you can't speak English. So if you, in order to be able to do all those things that I explained, you need to speak, you need to, the communication, the everything, I mean, they all need, I mean, that they all require you to be able to speak English. So use any opportunity, like for example, you can self-educate yourself. There are a lot of, I mean, amazing and nice videos on YouTube that learn, I mean, that you can learn English. And there are a lot of applications that you can, I mean, use to, I mean, to improve your English. So don't take any opportunity for granted. Also in Indonesia, like, I mean, some refugees, they speak, I mean, English very good, and they are willing to help and to teach for, I mean, like, voluntarily and for free. But some refugees, unfortunately, they, I mean, they take the opportunity for granted. They don't use the opportunity. They like, oh, I'm too lazy, or I don't have time to learn English. You should always have time to learn that, because if you want to, if you go to the third country, if you can't speak English, you will understand, like, oh my god, what mistake I made, like why I took the situations, the opportunities for granted. I mean, there were free teachers, free classes that I could use that my time to learn English, but I didn't. So please, I mean, learn English, I mean, as much as you can, and improve, I mean, your speaking English skills. Because if you can speak English in the third countries or any other country, the life will become much easier for you and for yourself. Yeah, and yeah, that's all that I wanted to talk, because I was just thinking that, yeah, this informations, I mean, they were really needed for some of the refugees, for some of them. So if you have any questions, like I see a hand on, you can ask.
Thank you very much. That's great. And we will now open it up and get everybody's thoughts on it. We wanted Rahmat to share some of his experiences after he's been here now for a couple of months. So he's adjusting to the culture. He's adjusting to it not only in Canada, but into a small town in Ontario, which is a whole different experience as well. He's about 3 hours north of Toronto. So we just wanted those conversations. So he's going to be very actively involved in helping us build this community that we're talking about. And I see, Moran, you have your hand up. Do you want to make a comment?
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving me the chance. Thank you, Sir Rahmat, for explaining and giving information. I appreciate, but you are using a lot of I mean. So my question is like this, from maybe any one of you can answer. When a refugee already got resettled to Canada, after how many years or month, they can sponsor other refugees.
Okay, that's 1 year. So once you've been here for 1 year and you have your permanent residency, you can then be on a team to sponsor other people. So it's the 12 months rule. That's my understanding at this point.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's Rahmat, the other Rahmat.
Yes, I really want to emphasize on the last point that Rahmat shared, and he expressed that how important it is. I want to repeat the same thing, is that nowadays when I see refugees around me in the accommodation, and they talk to me, like let's say they talk to the officers from IOM in a very, and they can handle basic conversation, which is a good thing. But what they are doing is that they are thinking that this is the only English that I need for the rest of my life, which is absolutely not true. There are a lot of scenarios, a lot of situations where your knowledge of English language, that's not enough. And I think basically that's the reason that most of friends of mine in here, they are not really motivated to study English language further in a scale where they will be able to handle anything, whether they're going to the hospital, they have to do some paperwork, they're going to the bank, or let's say even if they are listening to the news. So I think what they need to realize is that that level of English that they think is the best, that is not. I'm not trying to discourage them. What I'm trying to say is that they need to be realistic. They need to prepare themselves for a harder future. And I think by doing that, what they're doing themselves a favor. Once they arrive in Canada, they'll realize how amazingly they spend their time on a skill that they can use it for the rest of their life. That's it.
Thank you very much. Claire and then Ali. Thank you so much for that.
I just have a quick comment in that, so Sadiq and I tried to talk to each other once a week when my internet is working, because sometimes our internet goes down here. But one of the things that we do that makes it easier is we send pictures back and forth to each other sometimes. And then we have something to talk about, because occasionally, you know, you get on, you're just learning about someone else, you don't know them very well, you talk about your family, your experience, but sometimes our day-to-day lives aren't that exciting. And it's a little bit of same old. And so, you know, we had a beautiful snowfall the other day, so I would send him a picture of that. He went to the movies. We have things, then we have a focus for our conversations, which then brings about, you know, you're starting to talk about different parts of your body or your clothing or what, you know, something a little, it just makes it easier. That's all. So if you are in a relationship with a sponsor, and that can be just a little thing that you might be able to do that makes a conversation a little more meaningful, a little easier to get going. And it's about things that actually happen every day in this country. So
great comment. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you. Ali.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Rahmat. I think for me personally tonight, it is one of the most interesting topics that we have covered and discussed about. Rahmat, thank you. You have shared lots of great thoughts and ideas that could really help us to find our feet and ground once we arrive in Canada. There has been many things that you have mentioned, start from, you know, how to find sponsors. Yeah, I would like to just share my own experiences, that how it happened to me. And number one thing I think that we all have to consider is that we have to be really realistically patient. We have to understand that it takes time, yet at the same time we have to believe that it would happen if we take the right course of action, and we are finding out, as Rahmat just mentioned, that we are not just trying to connect with the people and as soon as possible we just say hi, then we have to just say that, yeah, please sponsor me. Because number one reason is that it is about delivering the right form of information, as well as building that trust, that the mutual trust that really could make the people believe that, yes, I am the right person or you're the right person, that we could get in touch and we could make a difference. And for that reason, I think, I have experience. A friend of mine, this is the experience that I've heard from a friend of mine who said that he was totally hopeless. Actually, he came to me that he asked me, how could I find a sponsor? And then I said, yeah, you could just be active on social media, market yourself, try to join the groups such as Northern Lights of Canada and try to connect with the people, go share your thoughts and ideas, introduce yourself. And then he did it. Actually, he was very active. And then one day he came to me and he said that, Reza, it doesn't work at all. Nobody replies to me. Nobody answers my text. And then I actually asked him to give me a phone and let me check your social media. I saw that his own name was actually not his own name. His name was even wrong on his social media. It was not his own real name, number one. And he had just a few pictures of romantic stuff or quotes on his Facebook that totally looked like a kind of very fake profile. And then I said that, oh man, even if I were in this situation, I would not just reply you, but I would definitely block you. And you have to appreciate those people. They have at least probably read your text or message or your post. So this is very important. I think one of the most important factor that will really help us is not just how we are trying to directly communicate with the people, but how we are indirectly showing ourselves in the community or in the social media. For example, I personally have been not just to get the people's attention, but I have followed what was my passion. I was sharing continuously. I was being active in the group, and I was even making a video of myself. I still have that. Probably I could share that video in the group so it could help. It is also shared in the YouTube channel of Northern Light of Canada. So I talked about myself, and this video was so transformative for me in order to really get connected with the people. I talked about my experience of who I am, what happened to me, and what I'm looking forward to. And the next thing is that when you are getting connected with Canadian friends, yeah, it is our very true natural ability that we are just trying to complain and talk negative of the situation. But yeah, we could still find common grounds where we have an interest, common interest that we could discuss. And then when it is the right time at the right moment, then things that we are looking for will naturally happen. And the next thing I should move very briefly on is building the community when we are getting into Canada. I think this is such an important thing that we all, I think, underestimate, or we take it for granted. Apart from our language barrier that we are having, apart from the language barrier, of course, it might be our first concern that, oh, when I get to Canada, I don't want to apply for that job, or for example, I cannot talk to the people. The number one reason that can pop up in our mind is that, oh, I'm afraid that I make mistake in my English, people misunderstand me. So apart from language barrier, there are some cultural differences that we have some kind of false pre-assumptions or perspective that how it will turn out. I mean, how can I get in touch with these people, or how can I join this community? So for this thing, we not only need to just really work on our language ability, but also we have to really work on our mindset, that how we could be, because some of us could be a kind of introvert person that despite of having a good language ability, you just don't like to get connected with the people. So this building this connection and network, it will not just help you personally to get socialized and you can find your ground in that new community of totally brand new culture, a new society, a new situation, but also it could help us in terms of finding job opportunities, building friends that could really turn our future around. And so there is a book that really helped me personally that is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It really helps us and teach some ideas and tactics. It really changed our mind. So what I am doing after that book, so that whenever I'm going out, especially for example on Saturdays, or sometime I'm helping some of my friends who are sick, like from Tanjung Pinang going to Batam, or from Batam to Tanjung Pinang, I'm sitting in a ferry. It is just 1 hour distance by fast ferry from Tanjung Pinang to Batam city, where some of the refugees could not be recovered, or they could not the medical staff is not really matching for their illness, they will be transferred to bottom, because in bottom there is a better medical facilities. On the way when I'm sitting in the ferry, I'm just challenging myself that I would, no matter who is sitting next to me, either it is a child, it is whoever is this, I would just dare to just say a hi, and just for example, yeah, I would just say a hi, how are you, how's your day? Even I know some of the informations, but I still pretend that I don't know. So it is what I'm practicing is I'm just trying to dare to break my fears. And I'm just saying, okay, I'm saying what would happen, the worst thing would happen is that this person would just slap me and ignore me. So let that happen. But I'm just trying, but it has always turned out very successfully, and it really maximized my confidence that, yeah, I think it has always helped me. And even I have made friends through this way, and they have asked for my social media. We've been friends, we have exchanged topics, especially like when I'm getting connected with Indonesians, and I'm telling them, yeah, I'm an English instructor, and they're asking me, would you please help me to learn English? And I would say, yeah, with a pleasure. So this is not just a language, but this is also a matter of perspective. It is a matter of pre-assumptions. It is a matter of how we are trying to change that mindset to really go and be a little bit adventurous. And that connectedness, that sort of community will really, really help us a lot to find ourselves in a situation where we have never imagined before. And that could help you in every aspect of your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali. That was very helpful. This has been a really good conversation, and I think somebody in this group, or it was a little while ago, we talked about the Canadian culture, and what we're very aware of is that it would be really hard to talk about the Canadian culture per se, because we're made up of so many different cultures.
Yeah.
And so even for us, like, we have to also learn and get comfortable with many different cultures, many different communities that live in Toronto. I think Toronto is, they say, it's the most multicultural city in the world. And it's probably true. If you want any type of food or any type of community, you can go and you can find it in the city, and you'll be surrounded by people from that culture. So it's exciting, it's wonderful, but it also means that we also have to learn how to get along and how to integrate each other. So that's wonderful. I see more hands up, and then maybe we'll talk a few minutes just about next week. So Moran, do you want to go next?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the chance again. The only thing which I want to share, like most of you might know that many of the people, especially the people of Afghanistan, our parents, most of them are, unfortunately, they are uneducated, right? So many of the refugees, that they flood the country in the young age, before they have to go to school, to study, to get enough knowledge. So they are deprived of education. And many of them, even they don't know how to write the Persian. They don't know even their own language. So it is really hard for them to study about English. So for these kinds of people, what are the challenges? And even some of refugees, like they are staying in Indonesia for a long time, and they are full of stress, somehow depression and tension. So even while we are trying to tell them, please, you have to learn this thing, you have to focus on education language, even they are not, they don't have the stamina, the energy to do that things. So what will be the challenges for them? So how we can motivate them that at least they should learn about few things which might be helpful for them.
Thank you for that. Maybe that will be a topic that we should focus on. Maybe you even want to do that next week. It's up to you, but it's a wonderful idea, because I think we've talked about before, the people that are on this call are people who have a lot of resiliency and strength, and they're working very hard, but you have friends and colleagues that may not be in that place. So maybe that's okay. I see one more comment. We'll kind of plan for next week. Okay.
Saurabh.
Yeah, Saurabh.
Hello everyone, thank you for the opportunity that given to me. I would like to emphasize about the information that Rahmat shared with us. I think it is very significant, because the first step is that how if you want rescue from here and get resettlement in Canada, we need to build a friendship, or we need to otherwise we need to find a friend in Canada. That's why this is very hard, and we are all struggling how to build a friendship in Canada, or otherwise how can we find a sponsor. That's why I am suggesting for you guys, if it's possible, that we can discuss about this and more information. If Rahmat or others can give us, it's very important for us to talk about this and another topic or another Zoom meeting.
That's a great
Thank
idea.
you.
Thank you so much. Because, you know, one of the things, you've just given me an idea. This is how wonderful these calls can be for all of us. One of the things that Rahmat is going to be doing, he's going to be meeting with a lot of people here. He's going to be meeting with, we hope, a lot of students in different groups, maybe in colleges, maybe in different communities. And maybe that's the place to start. Maybe we talk about friendship, because maybe the people that you talk to first will not be able to sponsor, but if they start to understand you, then they'll be able to use their network to talk to other people. So I guess sometimes we want something so bad that we approach it in a way that's maybe not the most helpful. And I think what's come out today is this whole idea of friendship. That's what I understand it's all about, but maybe we haven't always started there in our conversation. So I think you've given us a lot of good ideas. Rahmat, and then we will.
Yeah.
For next week.
Yeah, I just wanted to give like a few comments. Actually, Monica mentioned that I mean, not Monica, Clara, sorry. That she and Sadiq, they sometimes exchange pictures, and yeah, that is something that is very important, because I personally did it all the time. So, I mean, it is just because, I mean, the goal is to build your network, I mean, in Canada, your support network in Canada, not only to get to Canada. So, I mean, you can talk about many different things about what you are doing daily. If you're going somewhere, you can always share pictures, the things that you have been doing, the things that you're enjoying. For example, you travel somewhere, you can share pictures. You can always exchange pictures between each other. It will just make you closer together. And I mean, there will be a strong connection between, I mean, both of you. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful. So next week, there's two things that I've heard that we could spend some time talking about. And the first one is the whole idea of building friendships, the strategies, the way that people get approached. I think this is a really exciting one. And it does bring in sort of a cultural element too. I have sometimes been in countries where if I spoke to a stranger, it may not be the most appropriate thing to do, because they wonder, what's wrong with you? Why are you smiling? Why are you speaking? You know, and yet we just have to understand the Canadian culture and understand how best to connect with people here. I think we've already said that people sometimes worry about social media and when they're approached, like, what do they want from me? So we've got to really talk about this. Maybe that will be a great topic. And the second one that we can maybe put on for either next week or the following week, we don't want to overcrowd our meetings, but talking about helping those that need help from us and from you, you know, folks that may not be at the same space and time that you're in. How do we offer support? I know Monica and Alicia have been working on this one too. Thanks to Rahmat, we've been looking at developing some ideas around a support program as well. And we want to bring that back and talk about that as well. Maybe that would tie in very nicely to the other topic around helping those that may not be in the same place. So does that make sense to people? Are people okay with that? Okay, so next week, are we good by starting with maybe building friendships, building the Canadian connections? And maybe that could be a whole creative opportunity for us to explore from the Canadian perspective, and also from your perspective, what's comfortable with you. And it's one that we really need to contribute from a Canadian perspective, our ideas about what that could and should look like. Okay, so any final, this has been very great, wonderful to see everybody. We've had a great turnout this morning. Thank you, Rahmat. We have taped this so we can edit it down and we can use it for different purposes as well.